Adam Klindworth. I'm going to be going over Burp Sequencer. Get this thing out of the way. Alright, so what Burp Sequencer is, you can think of it as a way to kind of test the random number generation of just like cookies, form fields, to anything that your web application is going to send. It's over the web that's random. So what I'm going to do is actually use this to test the session IDs in multiple different forms, some that I've created, some that are out there already. So I've got 3 examples that I made. A secure version, which uses the basic, just built-in ASP.NET session ID generation. And I've got another one here, just like unsecure. That's just like 10 random characters, just using the just the random object in .NET. And unsecured 2. This one was just kind of a test, like what would happen if you made it really, really bad. And what this one is it just like it basically does a random and then mods it by like 255, I think it is. And I'll show you the code for all these when we're done here. You can test further if you'd like. And finally, Vuba.net. If you guys don't know what it is, go check it out. It's made by a classmate at DSU. It's a social networking site, essentially. So, alright, so let's get started. Let me find it. So first thing I'm going to do here is just bring up the page. I already have my proxy running and burps going right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to authenticate INFA user and password of password, super secure. And what that does is it just creates a new session ID for us. So once we have that request, here's a post request. You can see it's setting the cookie of T2 blah blah blah. And I also had another variable that's just sesh ID, which is the one we're actually going to use to when we actually throw it in Sequencer. So how to get over Sequencer is you just right click on the request that you want to look at and just send to Sequencer. It's pretty straightforward, and I think it's the same way for all the other features of Burp. So, and then once you get over here, you have some options. You can have multiple threads. I'm not certain how the threads work. I mean, obviously it's the number of requests that it's going to send simultaneously. But when I tried to put like 25 threads, it didn't work. Like it just gave me an error saying that it's not a valid number of threads. So I don't know. Maybe they're using some method to get the number there. And then once you get over here, you can choose the basically the field that you're going to look at. So like you can see, there's plenty of fields here, and we're going to use the sesh ID ones. Sesh ID one. The rest of this stuff you can pretty much just keep as the default. It really works well right from the start. And all these options here, like these are the different like graphs and stuff and different analysis that it's going to run on the results. There's really no point in turning any of that stuff off because it's kind of nice to be able to see it. So yeah, let's start that up. So while that's going, basically like it kind of runs on an interval. So like at every like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, you can do an analysis. Right after 100, you can actually analyze, and you can keep analyzing from there. But you can turn on the auto analyze, which will analyze every so often. Let's see, it changed. But like even though you can do such a small number, obviously if you want to do a real analysis, you want to have a large sample size. And the FIPS standard is 20,000 tokens, which, as you can see, I mean, they take quite a while. So if you're doing a pen test and you have the time, you should go for the full number, just because it's better. Okay, so just click analyze, and it takes a second or two. And you get all this information with entropy, reliability. Says the reliability of the results is poor because it doesn't have that many. It doesn't have that many tokens to analyze, so it'll get better over time. And then it gives you basically an overall result or overall quality of the randomness. And this is like I said, this is the default built-in ASP.NET generator for session IDs, and it's given an excellent rating. And analyze now again that changes the bits and the number of bits of entropy and all that good stuff. Then you can also go like character level analysis, which I kind of thought the character level analysis was cool, but the bit level analysis was just kind of, I don't know, it was a little better, I think. What the character level analysis is, I mean, it gives you just statistics on like how many characters were found in each one. So like the commonality of how often certain characters are showing up or something like that. The other thing that's cool is it gives you a character set. So since it's the .NET one, and I believe it uses lowercase, uppercase, and numbers. Like this should actually be pretty high, and it gives you the character set at each position. So like if you were to use only letters for the first 4 characters or something like that, and then numbers from there on out, or however you're going to do it, if you're rolling your own random session ID generator, like those would be like 26 there and then 10 for the other ones. So yeah, and then entropy is it's just the number of bits that can be different essentially. And like I said, the bit level analysis is pretty cool. It gives you analysis of each and every bit, and it has these FIPS, all these FIPS tests, and it gives you just nice results off of that. See here that all these are passing with this one. You'll see a little different one later on where you don't get as good a results. Oh, that one was a little closer. So anyway, good stuff. So we can see that this one is that the ASP.NET one is pretty good. So let's move on to the next one. Same process here. Use the same information. And you see this is only a 10 character, only uppercase set of stuff that can use. Let's see what does this. Same thing, just right in here. You can see that that's where our stuff is. Send it to sequencer. Once again, the session ID, and we just start it up. This one, we're not going to let this one get too far. We're going to go through results pretty quick. So while we do that, let's go over here. I'll show you the code for this one. So all this one's doing is once you hit the submit button, just checks if it's the right username and password, then goes up here, creates a session ID, which just takes 10 random characters. Just takes straight into character, and just returns the string with the session ID. Come on. And then we just create a session cookie. That's all it is. Pretty simple. Not very randomized, I guess. And the only difference, the secure one uses the actual session ID manager, with their create session ID function, and takes into account the context. And yeah, I mean, they're somewhat similar in the code. It's just how the session's actually created. All right, so we got 400 tokens, so we should get a pretty good idea here. You see, this is a not so good result. And see the quality of the randomness is extremely poor. Yeah, obviously, if you saw that, I mean, you'd probably tell the people, hey, you got to change this. And there's all sorts of just results of saying, hey, we got stuff that's just too common, shouldn't be like that. Improve your randomness, essentially. And character set, 26 characters for each one. That's exactly what we expect it to be. We'll just go to the bit level analysis quickly. FIPS, all these wonderful tests. This one didn't do too bad. I mean, 35 or 33 of them passed. 7 failed, but I mean, theoretically shouldn't have any of them failing. So, I mean, not too good. And it just looks like it just gets worse from there. Alright, so got that one. Let's stop that. Now, this one would be more or less the same. So we're actually gonna just trust me on this one. That one's not very good either. So we're gonna go to the real live app, and this is actually a PHP app. So this gives you a little bit of a, I guess, a comparison in ASP and PHP as far as how good they are. All right, so right here we see it's setting the cookie right there, PHP session ID, default cookie for PHP sessions. Send it to sequencer, and then start it up. Just as a side note for you security-minded people, I noticed when I was looking at this app that the session ID never actually changes when it gets authenticated. So, like that session ID that you just saw, if I were to log in with that under that session, and since you guys obviously see it on the video, you'd be able to just paste that in as your cookie, and you could do a hijack of my session pretty easily. So, I mean, I don't know if that's quite what we want to do if we're thinking very security-mindedly. Just a thought for your own apps. Yeah. All right. So again, overall randomness is excellent, and if you remember, that's the same effective entropy level that the ASP.NET was at, or that .NET app was at. Except this one has more characters. The .NET version had 24 characters, so right there. This has 8 more characters, roughly. Yeah, 8 more characters. Which is interesting that the entropy is the same here that it was under the .NET side with the more characters. We still get some anomalies here in the character with the transitions. That's probably just because the sample size isn't large enough. I mean, that would probably smooth out if we had a larger number. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these. All of them passed. All passed. All of them passed again. That was... they all passed, but it wasn't quite as high. So as you can see, I mean, the built-in ones are pretty good. Probably not going to be able to be guessed. So, I mean, as far as using your generating sessions, use the built-in one. Don't roll your own. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. But it's just another side note. So anyway, that should get you started on Sequencer pretty easily. I mean, that's, from what I can see, that's about all you need to know for just starters. It could be a pretty useful tool for just taking a look at how the like how good of a random generator the app's using, how easy it'd be to hijack sessions, etc., etc. Yeah, fun stuff. Thanks, guys.